The setting sun spilled like scattered molten gold, slanting across the collapsed arcade, casting dapple shadows on bullet-ridden concrete walls. Abdul, 86 years old, sat on a stone step of his home. The slab had been worn smooth by years and artillery, yet its edge still bore a chip from a shrapnel strike. His back remained straight, just as it had been 30 years earlier, when he'd stood at the university lecture holding the etymology of Arabic. At 6, he clung to the back of a refugee truck with his mother, fleeing his northern homeland for this city. Now his homeland was little more than a blurry shape on a map, and the city that once took him in had become a landscape of endless ruins. Only half of his house's main wall still stood. The roof gaped open, revealing a sky streaked with smoke. Push open the door, however, and the inside was a world apart from the chaos outside. On the crooked door frame hung the jasmine curtain his wife Zainab had embroidered before she died. One corner was burned, but the stitches remained fine and neat. The low cabinet had been jostled by explosions, yet he pushed it back carefully against the wall. On top sat 3 cheap glasses, all facing the same direction, as if waiting for someone to share a drink. Half the bookshelf inside had collapsed, so the surviving books were lying neatly on the floor in alphabetical order. At the very top lay a faded copy of the Quran. Beside his old lecture notes, their edges curled by fire, yet carefully mended with tape. Abdul held a small, hard piece of flatbread dust was wedged deep in the wrinkles of his fingers. Slowly, he broke the bread into tiny crumbs and scattered them by the wall. A ginger cat with a lame right hind leg limped over, purring softly. He'd found the cat in the rubble after an airstrike. Like him, it was a survivor of this ruin. Eat slowly, he whispered in Arabic. His voice was rough, but still gentle, the way it had been when he taught. Soft footsteps approached from behind, fabric brushing against rubble. Abdul did not turn. He had long grown used to the sounds of the ruins, the whine of wind through dead leaves, distant sporadic gunfire, the scrape of stray dust. Sir, I'm sorry to disturb you. The voice was unfamiliar, with halting Arabic, like a beginner speaking in class. Abdul turned slowly and saw a young man standing at the alley entrance. He wore a faded windbreaker, his cuffs rolled to the knees, spotted with mud. Around his neck hung an ADSL camera, its lens uncovered, dusted with ash. His eyes were dark, smooth as obsidian made with water, clear, unmarked by war. A sight Abdul had not seen in a very long time. Who are you? Abdul's gaze fell on his press badge. He could not read the Chinese characters. The one line stood out clearly. Photojournalist, Lin Yan. My name is Lin Yan. I'm from China. Lin Yan knelt, keeping eye level, afraid standing might seem disrespectful. I'm here to document what happens here. Abdul turned back and continued feeding the cat. There is nothing to document here. Only stones and dead people. Lin Yan did not argue. He simply pulled a foil-wrapped package from his bag and held it out. Your bread looks very dried out, this might help sweet your throat. The foil glinted in the sunset, like a tiny piece of gold. Since the war began, sugar and chocolate had become scarcer than medicine. The last time he tasted sweetness was on his youngest daughter Layla's 17th birthday. He had saved 3 days' rations to trade for a small chocolate bar with a relief worker. Layla had refused to eat it all, breaking off half and pressing it into his mouth. It had been so sweet he closed his eyes. He lifted his thin, bony hand and took the chocolate. The warmth of the foil seeped through his fingers, a faint, human warmth he had nearly forgotten. Thank you. Those were the first soft words he spoke to Lin Yan. That day, Lin Yan did not photograph the ruins or the bullet holes. He simply sat on the rubble beside Abdul, watching the old man feed the cat, watching the sun sink lower, stretching the shadows long and thin. Only when dusk fell did he stand to leave. Before he went, he left half a bag of compressed biscuits, saved from his embassy ration. A precious supply in these ruins, thought Abdul watched his figure disappear down the alley. He placed the chocolate, still uneaten, in a cabinet drawer, next to Layla's birthday candle. After that, Lin Yan became a frequent visitor. He came every morning, carrying a small kettle of boiled water, heated on a portable stove with water from a refugee camp, carefully measured, just enough for 2. Abdul would take out the 3 cheap glasses, scoop them thoroughly, pour one for Lin Yan, one for himself, and leave the third empty, centered on the cabinet. That's for Zainab, Abdul explained quietly one day. Polishing the rim, she loved tea with 3 sugar cubes. She said that's what a real day tastes like. Lin Yan's throat tightened. He had seen countless deaths and partings in war, but never had he felt such piercing sorrow in such small, quiet details. He knew sugar cubes no longer existed in his ruins. The old man's words were nothing but a longing for what was gone. He began learning Arabic from Abdul. The old man was a natural teacher. Even amid ruins, he kept a strict, steady rhythm. With charcoal scavenged from debris, he drew Arabic letters on the ground, teaching Lin Yan stroke by stroke. He corrected his pronunciation, explaining that the root of love held tenderness, and the shape of home wrapped together roof and family. Were you a professor of Arabic? Lin Yan asked one day, sporting his lecture notes. Damascus University, Department of Arabic Literature. Abdul paused, then nodded. 40 years. Some of my students became diplomats. Some became writers. Others. His voice dropped, are buried in the rubble, like my sons. Lin Yan's heart sank, thought he finally asked the question that had weighed on him for so long. Your family? He regretted it at once. Abdul's face paled instantly. His bony hand flew to his chest. Knuckles wet with pressure. Those hands had once written beautiful poetry on chalkboards, held his daughter's hands to teach them to plant flowers. Now they could only clutch his shirt, as if holding back a breaking heart. Tears welled slowly in the old man's eyes, cloudy like ponds tainted by dust. They gathered at the corners, threatening to fall, but he squeezed his eyes shut, breathed hard, and forced them back. He lifted his gaze toward the inner room, where a smoke-stained family portrait hung. In it, Zainab wore a jasmine scarf, smiling softly. 3 sons stood tall behind him. 2 daughters leaned against their mother, eyes bright. It had been taken 10 years earlier, when his youngest son Musa entered university. It was the last complete photo of his family before the war, when life was not rich, but peaceful. Last March, the extracts came, Abdul said softly, as if speaking of someone else. Zainab was baking bread for me in the kitchen. Layla was doing her homework. Musa and his brothers were fixing the grape arbor in the yard. A missile hit the yard, and everything was gone. He did not cry. He only stared blankly at the photo. Lin Yan sat beside him and gently patted his shoulder. It was thin, dry, like a dead leaf, ready to crumble at a touch. From that day on, Lin Yan no longer avoided the subject of family. Slowly, Abdul began to speak of the warm, gentle past. He said Zainab had loved cleanliness. Even in the refugee camp, she swept the ground spotless and planted jasmine in the scarlet cans. He said his oldest son Karim was a carpenter who had made him a desk, carved with the words knowledge is light. He said his second daughter Sophia loved to sing, her voice floating down the street every morning. He said his youngest son Musa was most like him, loved reading, and dreamed of studying in China, seeing the Great Wall and the Forbidden City. He always said China was a peaceful place. Abdul said, looking at Lin Yan, you see, he was right. Lin Yan took out his phone and showed the old man photos of the Great Wall, the Forbidden City, the misty rivers of southern China. Abdul leaned close, eyes shining like a curious child. It was the first time he had clearly seen the China Musa had talked about. Musa would have been so happy to see this, he whispered. Afternoon sunlight slanted through the hole in the roof, falling over both of them. Abdul would take out a tiny stash of tea dust, left from before the war, sparingly used, just enough for a faint flavor. Lin Yan would take out his camera and photograph the old man feeding a cat, wiping his nose, gazing at the family portrait. Can I have copies of these photos? Abdul asked one day, pointing at the screen. Of course, Lin Yan replied gently. I will have them printed and keep them for you. But he knew there were no roads, no post offices in his ruins. The photos would likely stay only in his camera, a promise he could not keep. They did small things together. Abdul led Lin Yan through the rubble, collecting usable items, a spoon without a handle, an unbroken piece of glass, a half-burned book. Lin Yan helped repair the roof with scrap metal and wood to block the wind and rain. He cleared rubble from the yard to make a small plot, where they planted jasmine seedlings dug from the ruins, the ones Zainab had grown, which had somehow survived the extract. Jasmine needs sun and water, just like life, Abdul said, crouching to plant the shoot. As long as the roots remain, it will bloom. Lin Yan watched his hunched figure, his heart heavy. He knew the jasmine might be destroyed by the next airstrike before it ever flared, but he said nothing. He silently took the rusted can Abdul used as a watering pot, filled with dew collected overnight, each drop precious, and sprinkled gently over the seedling. Not wanting to waste the drop, the lame ginger cat gradually accepted Lin Yan. It would curl up on his lap to sleep, follow them as they scavenged, and rest at Abdul's feet when tired. Abdul named him Salam, which in Arabic means peace. It was his simplest, most sincere wish for this land. Days passed slowly in the ruins, like lukewarm tea, bitter, yet softened by companionship. Lin Yan's camera no longer held only cruelty. It captured Abdul's gentle care for his books, Salam lazily basking in sunlight, and the young jasmine swaying in the wind. He knew this warmth would not last. His visa would expire in 10 days. The embassy had warned repeatedly that fighting could escalate at any moment. He had to leave soon. The evacuation order came via satellite phone. Early that morning, Lin Yan was helping Abdul water the jasmine when his phone rang. The signal was broken, but clear enough. Evacuate tomorrow. He hung up, his hand frozen midair. The dew spilled from the pot, darkening the soil. Abdul noticed his stillness. What's wrong? Lin Yan turned to meet his eyes, concerned, gentle, with a hint of hope he could not name. He opened his mouth, but his throat felt blocked. He did not know how to tell the old man he was leaving, perhaps forever. Are you going away? Abdul spoke first, softly, with quiet acceptance, as if he had always known. Lin Yan nodded, then shook his head, then finally nodded firmly. Sir, my visa has expired. The embassy is sending a car tomorrow morning. I have to go back to my country. The common Abdul's face shuddered like a stone drop in water. He froze, lips trembling, as if wanting to speak, yet no words came. He turned slowly and walked inside, his back more hunched than usual, as if all strength had been drained from him. Lin Yan stood still, clutching the empty part, his chest heavy as lead. He wanted to comfort him. The new words would mean nothing. Nothing could soften goodbye. The next day was silent between them. Abdul still woke early, boiled water, and warmed the 3 glasses. He still told Lin Yan Arabic, though no longer corrected his pronunciation, only watching quietly. He still sat on the step feeding Salam, but his gaze no longer drifted into the distance. It fixed on Lin Yan, as if trying to carve his face into memory. Lin Yan laid out all his belongings. He transferred photos from his camera to his laptop, powered by a solar charger, a luxury in the ruins. He stared again and again at the pictures of Abdul. He folded his windbreaker, hacked his stove, kettle, remaining biscuits. He went to the temporary camp and used his last allowance to buy as many medicines as possible, painkillers, antibiotics, antiseptic, bandages, all desperately needed and more. On the evening before he left, the sunset burned red, dyeing the ruins a tragic gold. Lin Yan walked into Abdul's home with a heavy bag. The old man was sitting on the carpet, polishing the Quran. His movements were slow, tender, as if touching a treasure. It was the only complete thing his family had left, his spiritual anchor. He looked up at the sound of footsteps. Lin Yan knelt and laid out his gifts, the folded windbreaker, portable stove, 2 bags of biscuits, a large pack of medicine. Then he pulled out all his cash, local currency and dollars, and placed it beside the supplies. It might buy the old man slightly better food in the camp. Sir, please keep this, Lin Yan said, his voice rough. The jacket keeps out the rain, but the stove boils water. The medicine is for when you need it. The money can buy food. Abdul's eyes moved over each item, then settled on Lin Yan's face. Tears welled in his eyes again. This time, he did not hold them back. They rolled down his wrinkled cheeks, falling onto the carpet, darkening small spots, like dark flowers blooming in a ruin. Are you really leaving? He grabbed Lin Yan's wrist. His hand was cold, but his grip was tight, knuckles white. Can't you stay a few more days? Even just 1 day? Lin Yan's nose burned, tears stung his eyes. He blinked hard and shook his head. I can't. The embassy car comes early tomorrow. If I wait any longer, I won't be able to leave. Will you really not come back? Abdul asked again, his voice shaking, like a string about to snap. Musa wanted to go to China. If you return, can you tell him about the Great Wall? Lin Yan's heart felt slightly open. He knew Musa was gone. He knew he would probably never return. The war had no end. His mission was done. More than that, he was afraid to come back. Afraid the ruins would be even worse. Afraid the old man would no longer be there. He gently freed his wrist and held Abdul's shoulders. His voice was firm, yet filled with guilt. Sir, I will not come back. Please don't wait for me. Those four words, don't wait for me, struck Abdul like a hammer. He swayed, let go, and bowed his head. After a long while, he lifted his face again. Tears had dried, leaving the deep tracks. He pulled a cloth bundle from his chest and handed it to Lin Yan. Lin Yan unfolded it. Inside was a small wooden plaque, carved with Arabic writing and one crude Chinese character Zhong, meaning China. Karim made this, Abdul said. The Yan Musa said he wanted to go to China. Karim carved this. He said it would keep him from getting lost. Now, I give it to you. Lin Yan held the plaque. Its surface was smooth from being rubbed, warm with Abdul's touch. Tears finally spilled, dropping onto the wood. Thank you, sir, he choked. You don't need to thank me. Abdul smiled faintly, with quiet acceptance. You've already given me so much. You talked with me, you planted jasmine with me. You made me feel alive. That night, Lin Yan did not leave. He sat with Abdul on the carpet, drinking weak tea, talking. They spoke of Abdul's students, Lin Yan's hometown, the jasmine, Salem's future. Neither mentioned goodbye. As long as they didn't say it, tomorrow would not come. Night deepened. Distant gunfire faded. Salem curled between them, purring steadily. Abdul leaned against the wall and closed his eyes, whispering Arabic poetry under his breath. Lin Yan sat beside him, watching him sleep, his heart full of sorrow. This was their last night together. At first light, a car horn echoed in the distance. The embassy evacuation vehicle had arrived. Lin Yan stood slowly, moving silently, afraid to wake the old man. He took one last look at the room, the jasmine curtain, 3 glasses, neat rows of books. Salem curled on the floor. Every detail held their time together. He picked up his bag and glanced at Abdul once more. The old man still slept, his brow slightly furrowed, as if having a bad dream, perhaps of parting, perhaps of his family. Lin Yan closed the door gently and left. He did not look back. He was afraid if he did, he would stay, afraid he would see Abdul standing in the doorway, watching him go, and that look would break him. The horn grew louder about Lin Yan reached the alley. The embassy SUV waited, dust-covered, windows protected with glass film, able to withstand stray bullets. A worker waved, urging him to hurry. Just as he was about to get in, a familiar voice called from behind Lin. Lin Yan spun around. Abdul stood at the alley entrance, wearing Lin Yan's windbreaker. It was too big, hanging loosely, sleeves rolled up again and again. He held a cloth bundle and hurried toward Lin Yan, stumbling, as if he had run a long way. An 86-year-old man, running over rubble, every step difficult. Sir, Lin Yan ran to support him, panic in his voice. Why did you come? Slow down. Don't fall. Abdul panted, his chest heaving. After a moment, he held out the bundle. Inside are the photos. I asked the boy in the camp to print them with his portable printer. He loves photography. Came with the rescue team. I traded half a flatbread for this. Lin Yan unwrapped it. Inside was 6 printed photos. One of him and Abdul sitting on a step, feeding Salem. One of Abdul planting jasmine. One of Abdul cleaning his lecture notes. One of the 3 chipped glasses. One of the family portrait on the wall. One close-up of Abdul, looking at the camera, smiling softly. The edges were rough, but Abdul had taped them carefully. He did not want dust or war to take away this last reminder. And this, Abdul pulled out a chocolate bar, the very one Lin Yan had given him on my first meeting, wrapper 1. I didn't eat it. I kept it for you. Eat it on the road till it's sweet. Lin Yan took the chocolate. The foil glinted in morning light. He looked at Abdul's wrinkled face, his side eyes, his cheeks flushed from running, and tears burst forth again. Take care of yourself, sir. He hugged him gently, afraid to hurt him, yet pouring all his longing into that one embrace. You too. Abdul patted his back, his voice soft but steady. When you reach China, see the Great Wall for me. Don't see it for Musa. I will, Lin Yan promised, tears falling onto the old man's shoulder. I will send you photos of the Great Wall. He knew he could not keep that promise, but he said it anyway, to give Abdul hope, something to hold on to. The horn blared again. Workers urged him to hurry, though distant gunfire signaled the return of fighting. Lin Yan let go and walked to the car. He climbed in and looked through the window at the figure in the alley. The old man still stood there, in an oversized jacket, thin but straight, like a statue guarding the ruins. The car pulled away, though the figure grew smaller, then vanished into the smoke. Lin Yan held the chocolate, the photos, and the wooden plaque. He watched the ruins blur past, and tears fell silently. 3 months later, Lin Yan returned to China. He framed the 6 photos and placed them at the center of his desk. He hung the wooden plaque on his keychain, carrying it every day. He never ate the chocolate. He placed it in a glass cabinet next to his press card, the only tangible link between him and the old man. He organized his photos from the ruins into a series titled Warmth in the Ashes. There were no bloody battlefields, no desperate refugees. Only Abdul's gentleness, Salim's calm, the stubborn jasmine seedling, and the brief, burning warmth of human kindness in the place of destruction. The series won an international photography award. On the stage, holding the trophy, Lin Yan thought of the distant ruins. The 86-year-old man, the jasmine growing in rubble. He wondered if Abdul had forgotten him. Perhaps the old man still sat on that stone step, feeding Salim, waiting for the wind to bring back his family's voices, waiting for the jasmine to bloom. Far away, in the ruins, the sun set red over broken walls again. Abdul, 86, sat on the step, wearing an oversized windbreaker, Lin Yan's windbreaker, carrying his scent, as if he was still there. Beside him, Salim curled up, holding a tiny newborn kitten, orange, just like Salim. New life, quietly continuing in the ruins. The jasmine seedling in the yard had survived. It grew new leaves, and under the sunset, bloomed a small white flower, releasing a faint fragrance, Zainab's favorite scent. Abdul was blooming, a stubborn spark of hope in the ruin. Abdul held a crumpled piece of paper, the Chinese address Lin Yan had written before leaving. He could not read the characters, but every day he took it out, staring, running his bony fingers over the strange strokes. He knew Lin Yan would not return. He knew no photos would come, but he waited anyway. He was not waiting for Lin Yan, or for pictures of the Great Wall. He was waiting for the brief, sweet bond, like chocolate. For the days in the ruins, when someone drank tea with him, talked with him, planted jasmine with him. For the time when he forgot loneliness and pain, and felt truly alive again. The sun sank lower. Dusk wrapped the ruins like a heavy night. Somewhere in the distance, sporadic gunfire broke the quiet. Abdul closed his eyes softly, reciting the Arabic verse he had taught Lin Yan. My heart is a ruin, but in a ruin, jasmine still grows. He still held the paper with the Chinese address. The wine touched it, and it fluttered gently between his fingers, like a butterfly, trying to fly far away.